Today we have the 2022 Ford Maverick, and this is the base XL, and it's $21,000, and I can't wait to show it to you. It's hard to get any vehicle for $21,000, even some recently used models as well, but this little Maverick Hybrid is the base model for 21 grand, and I'm going to show you everything you get with it. We're going to take a full detailed look and get it out on the road for a test drive. Let's get going. Real quick, before we get started, my name is Nolan. I do full reviews like this every single week. I also have a video of the Maverick XLT with a different engine option, all-wheel drive, some more features. So if you want to see more than just this bare bones model, be sure to check the description below. All right, let's take a look at all the exterior details. Now, first of all, this is not built like the Ranger pickup. This is built like a crossover because it's a unibody construction. This is also the base XL model, so it's completely bare bones, not even any options, so you'll see exactly what you get. First of all, right up front, you're gonna get this kind of plain looking grille. You know, a lot of black plastic on this base model, which is fine for a base model in this price point. You're gonna get LED headlights, standard, surprisingly, on every single trim level. And this front end is a little bit more squared up than I kind of expected, unlike, you know, for example, the Honda Ridgeline or Hyundai Santa Cruz. Now the paint color on this one is called Area 51. You've probably seen this with the new Bronco or Bronco Sport. I think it looks nice, but look at this. You actually get these old school style steel wheels. These are 17-inch steel wheels, pretty basic, but you know, dimensionally it's quite a bit shorter than obviously the F-150, even the Ranger. It's more like a Ford Explorer in terms of size at just under 200 inches long. And this 4-door configuration is the only way you can get it. There's no extended cab or single cab, which is a little bit disappointing for some of you that just want to use it for work. You can get about 8.5 inches of ground clearance available. And coming to the back, we've just got the standard taillight design. You have Maverick stamped in the back. You even get a little hybrid badge because this is the hybrid model, and that's even standard. Plus, you can get a receiver back here like you saw on my XLT video. And then underneath, a compact spare is standard, but you can option up to get a full-size spare. Now, as we move to the bed of the Maverick, one thing that stands out is you have a lockable tailgate. That is nice. You can even still get an optional tonneau cover on here, so you can lock things up. This isn't a slow lowering tailgate, but it is very lightweight and easy to lift. But you've got a couple of tie downs on both sides. It's nice to have these tailgate tie downs because it can really help extend the length of the bed, because this is only a 4.5-foot bed, which is still longer than the Hyundai Santa Cruz, but keep that in mind. You can also use the bottom side as a bottle opener. And this does not have a bed liner, but you can get that optional. That XLT that I showed you had more features and options back here, but you're still gonna get fixed tie down there, fixed tie down there. Both sides are gonna get that as well. You can kind of see these little boxes right here. They have, in the other model, the XLT, we had LED lighting on both sides, and we also had a plug-in as well. Another thing not on this model that can be optional is the adjustable tie down. So you can get a tie down rack on each side, but they call this the flex bed. And one reason why is because you'll see you've got indentations, you've got little grooves all over the place to allow yourself to section off different parts of the bed. So you can put some boards in that slot, coming over here to where you have kind of two separate sides of the bed. With the wheel wells, you can put board across there and across right here. That can give you the option of making like a two-tiered shelf. So you have the options of making this bed more practical and capable if you want to. Between the wheel wells, it is not wide enough for 4 feet, but above the wheel wells, if you do create that shelf, you can fit 4-foot wide sheets here. There's bed lighting up there from the cab, otherwise none back here unless you move up in trim or go for that optional LED bed lighting. Now, I'm 5'9". I'm obviously not very tall, but this bed is still short enough to make it easy to reach in here. It doesn't have huge, tall sides, so it's easy to get in and out, and payload is 1,500 pounds no matter what trim level. Now, moving into the front seat, as you'd expect, you're gonna find cloth seats. They're manual adjustable. The headrest is not intrusive or bothersome, which is also good to see. Kind of got a little two-tone pattern right here. The bolsters on here actually have a little bit of squish to them. They're not super aggressive. The seat bottom has some decent cushion to it, not super cushiony. You still get height adjustment, so you can move the seat up and down, recline, and of course forward and backwards. However, there's no built-in lumbar support on the manual adjustment. The XLT I showed you had the optional power seats, which did include lumbar support. It also gave us heated seats and a heated steering wheel, but those are not on this base XL model. And I've been able to sit in here for a while at a time, no more than a couple hours, but I've been comfortable for the most part, but you'll have to try it for yourself. I wish it had adjustable lumbar support though. Now moving to the back seat, you're gonna find that it's similar to the front seat in terms of the storage here, which I'll show you up front in a second. You've got a couple different designated bottle holders that work pretty well. This is a little cloth armrest. This is gonna be hard plastic like up front, but that's what you would expect. Now, would you believe me if I told you we had more total legroom in the Ford Maverick than we did in the Ford Ranger? Yes, that is true. There's some similarities though. So first of all, this seat folds up just like the Ranger. I wish this had a split fold. The XLT also did not split fold. It's just one giant folding seat, which renders the back seat useless to sit in if you have to lift it up. I wish we had a split fold. That should not be hard to do for Ford. But you do have some under seat storage back here, which is also really nice. This is a pretty deep bin over here as well. The back seat can fold down a little bit too, but the only handle to fold it down is over there, so it's kind of a reach from this side, but you've got a jack kit, plus you could maybe stick a couple of items back here. And then sitting behind myself at 5'9", I actually have good enough foot space and some decent knee space. I mean, there's some cutouts right here, so it's not too bad. There is a hump in the middle. There's not going to be a ton there, but like I said, this does have more legroom than a Ford Ranger, a bigger Ranger. I have that seat all the way back. I can still sit behind there, even though it is getting a little tight, but to my surprise, you still get a 12-volt power outlet back here. No USB ports though. That XLT I showed you had a center folding armrest with cup holders. This base XL does not. The upper trims can give you USB ports and a 3-prong 400-watt outlet. But this base model, for a base model, it's not bad. In the room, it's better than you would expect. Headroom is definitely really good. I mean, I think a 6-footer may be able to sit back here and be okay. Now, as we move inside, we don't get the smart key system on here. You just get this regular key in ignition. If you want the smart key, remote start, all that stuff, you can move on up and get that, but not in this base XL model. Now with this interior, this still looks very similar to what the XLT was, just a little change in some materials, but design, all of that, pretty much the same. First of all, over on the door, you're gonna get this kind of textured plastic material up here. You just still get this cloth semi-padded armrest and this unique kind of like diamond dimensional pattern here. This still feels different than the XLT. This feels a little cheaper plasticky, but that's what you would expect. A couple of designated bottle holders, and it actually goes kind of deep back there. So I can get my tall bottle in there, but it is a squeeze. Skinnier bottles can fit pretty well. This base model still gives us an automatic down for the driver window, but that's it. All the same lighting controls, just like the XLT, are in here just like that. The steering wheel's not going to be leather wrapped on here. You can move up in trim level for that kind of thing. Otherwise, you've got the basic controls. And one thing I want to point out, there is no cruise control on here. No cruise control standard on this XL model. I'm really surprised by that. I mean, we get so many other things in here, but no cruise control. The other thing is that the mirrors are not power adjustable. You actually have to adjust them by hand. You know, that's not as big a deal because once you get them set, you're good. But no cruise control, that's kind of weird. Surprised we don't have crank windows, but we got power windows. Right in front of us, we get a couple of analog gauges. So there's a different gauge over here because it's hybrid. It kind of shows you more so your charging and power status versus a tachometer. Then you got speedometer down there, temperature down below, and fuel. And then this digital display is standard on here. And I don't know why it's saying all electric, probably because the engine's not running right now, but I've been getting around 38 or so miles per gallon total. You've got a few different menus you can go through and look at some of this. Let's look at this. All right, so that says 37, and I reset that after or during like an interstate drive, so it's a little bit higher than that overall. And then this EV coach is kind of cool. When you're driving, it'll show you when you're in electric mode or hybrid mode and help you kind of feather it if you want to. Digital speedometer, music, even if you're on the phone, and then changing any settings in here too. Now, obviously, as you'd expect, pretty much all the materials in here are pretty much just plastic. I mean, it definitely feels cheap, but it doesn't look as cheap because there's different textured and different elements in here that make it feel a little bit better than being just super, super cheap. There's a little opening down here for whatever you want to throw. There's a cubby right here. This is just like the XLT. So these are not only for the XL model. Right in front of us, we've got an 8-inch touchscreen standard. Also kind of surprised by this. It's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Those are both standard. Plus, you've got, of course, you've got your basic radio controls. You can customize different settings on here. It's not quite as detailed as some of the other sync systems, but obviously there's enough you can customize. And you probably saw ambient lighting right there. There's even a little bit of ambient lighting, just one color, like that sea green kind of look from Ford, that comes down over your center console down there. Even on the base model. That's a little surprising. You still get a couple physical controls for your radio and all of that. Down here you've got automatic climate control too. So it's just single zone, but you still have the distinction between a low, medium, or high fan speed if you want to, or you can completely customize it and your temperature dial over here. So it's not just completely manual controls, it actually does work on automatic function. Down here you've got a couple more dividers, little storage cubbies. I like the little knick-knack cubby storage. This can be a wireless charger if you move up in trim level. Otherwise, you've got a couple of USB plugs right there. The rotary dial shifter is a little funky because it can go all the way. I mean, you can just keep spinning it. It doesn't stop, which is kind of weird. But backup camera, you've got a movable line dynamic camera. You even have the hitch line to help you back up to a hitch. There's electronic parking brake. There's even a brake hold button, things I did not expect on here, and several different drive modes like Eco, Sport, Tow Haul, etc. Cup holders work just fine. I think they're also in a good spot. And then there's another little storage area right there, another little storage area right here. The armrest is fairly soft. It seems to sit okay. And then there's a good amount of space inside of here. There's no plugs or anything like that though. The glove box over here, it does not lock. I'd kind of like to see that as an option, but that's what you get. This, of course, is just a manual flipping mirror. There's no automatic dimmer in this base model. And then up here, these actually look like LED lights to my surprise. They kind of have that bright white look. You still get visors that move like that, even in the base model. So they didn't completely make this thing completely skimped out, except for no cruise control. There's still a sunglass holder up here as well. And of course, in our base model, just no options. There is no sunroof up here, and the back glass does not open up on this model, but it does on others. Now, under the hood of this Maverick, this is actually the standard powertrain, and it's a hybrid. This is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder hybrid paired with an electric motor for 191 total horsepower and 155 pound-feet of torque. The other thing is this is front-wheel drive standard. So with the hybrid, you can only get front-wheel drive, no all-wheel drive. You can get all-wheel drive if you move up to the available turbo, which I showed you with that XLT. Otherwise, it's front-wheel drive hybrid standard. This has a 13.8 gallon fuel tank and efficiency is excellent. The miles per gallon here is 42 city, 33 highway, and 37 combined. The hybrid can only tow about 2,000 pounds, so take that into account. Otherwise, the turbo can tow 4,000 pounds if it has all-wheel drive. And as far as the way the hybrid works and drives, it's not a plug-in hybrid, it's just its own self-sufficient regular hybrid model, and I'll talk about how it drives in just a bit. All right, y'all, we are behind the wheel of this Maverick Hybrid. So there's definitely some differences in the way the hybrid feels versus the turbo. And I've got a whole video detailing that exact difference as well. I'm going to talk exclusively pretty much about this hybrid in here. Now, the way this hybrid works is it uses electric power and gas power together or independently sometimes to help you get more efficiency. So you don't have to do anything different at all in terms of driving. It'll do whatever it needs to on its own. It doesn't have a dedicated EV mode like some hybrids or plug-in hybrids. You just drive and it'll take care of the rest, and you'll generally get better efficiency. But if you kind of practice braking slowly and keeping it within its threshold of electric power, you're going to get better efficiency. But let's get pedal down. Okay, that was up to 60, and for a little pickup with this power, it's really not that bad. It's not bad at all. I mean, especially in town driving, when you kind of have a quick little burst of electric power and then the gas engine kicks in, it's not bad at all. It does have a sport mode. Let me go ahead and put it in sport mode, then I'll put it in eco mode. So we're in sport mode, and when you're in sport mode in this hybrid, it's going to automatically keep that engine ready to go instead of just kind of relying on some electric power, and you're going to get a quick boost of electric power as well. There we go. And the handling in this Maverick is just like it is in, I was just in a Ford Escape, and it feels so much like that. I mean, it drives well, it handles well. And if you're nervous about the power from this hybrid, it's not bad. I mean, hybrid powertrains are more powerful and more responsive than people really appreciate, because you don't have to just wait for the engine to kick in. You get a little bit of electric power right away. Now I'm going to put us in eco mode, which will automatically almost try to use the regenerative braking a little more often. So if I just let off the accelerator, it's going to show me that we're charging right now. It's charging the battery a little bit by using the regenerative brakes in the wheels a little bit more than normal. And then when you accelerate, it'll tell you when you're in electric mode, and then when you get to hybrid mode. So right here, I'm going to let off the gas. It's recharging the battery, and it gives you a threshold as well. If you stomp on the brakes, you're going to go past those regenerative brakes, and you're just going to get to the friction brakes. But you can really just kind of slowly brake, absorb as much energy as possible, and have as much electric power to work off of. So it gives me a sign here that says 100% energy returned. You can get rid of that if you want to. And now as I accelerate, we're in electric mode, and it shows me a little meter down there. I'll show you that. If you kind of keep it in that, you're just going to be in electric power. So you can drive some distances just electric power. Now the hybrid engine kicked on. There's a lot of times where you'll be coasting, for example, or you're just kind of just barely on the throttle to keep speed on some flat ground, and you might just be in electric mode. The transition point from going from electric mode to gas engine is usually relatively unnoticeable. It's not too rough, it's not a jerk. They've done a pretty good job with that. Now we're just in electric mode right now, just kind of cruising along here about 40 miles an hour, and it's just EV, it's just electric. There's really no engine noise because the engine's not on, and it's pretty smooth. If I get on it, the gas engine turns on and you get more power. So I've gotten pretty darn good efficiency over my time with this. Let me look. Okay, so it's saying 36.8 miles per gallon right now. I was right around in the 38 miles per gallon for most of my time with this, until I think I probably around starting filming and stomping on it a little bit back there. That's over 200 miles of driving, so that's not bad at all. I will absolutely take that in this little pickup. As far as ride comfort, the ride comfort is very good on here, especially for a little pickup. Compared to other like body on frame pickups, it's much smoother, it's much more car-like. The handling is fine as well, as you saw back there. It just doesn't have a ton of body lean, but it does still have some. But for what it is, I think it's about perfect. In terms of road noise, there definitely is some. In terms of wind noise, there definitely is some too. It's not terrible though. I mean, for a base model in this price point, it's not that bad. I'll totally take it. The transmission in here is also different because it's not your typical geared transmission. It's an electronically controlled CVT, so it's got a planetary gear set, and it's different. You know, it's going to behave like a regular CVT, but it's not the same typical mechanical CVT. But I would say day to day, on the daily driving aspect of this, it's excellent. And comfort in here is pretty good as well. There's some hard plastics, but I mean, the armrests are fine. The visibility, the practicality, the cubbies, all that are definitely big bonuses and big pluses of this Maverick in general. So to wrap things up on this base model XL Ford Maverick, I think it's an excellent little pickup, especially for $21,000. It's just kind of weird they don't offer cruise control. Is that strange, or is it just me? But aside from that, I mean, it's fairly comfortable inside. You've got decent space inside. You actually have a surprising amount of features like a touchscreen inside as well. Obviously, the bed is not as big, or the cab is not as big as other pickups, but you still have a lot to offer for 21 grand here, and it's super efficient, up to 42 miles per gallon in the city. That's really awesome. Let me know what you think of this Maverick, this base model, the price point, the hybrid as well. Like I said, I have the XLT in the description below. I also have a comparison between the hybrid and the turbo model, so be sure to check that out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up would be super helpful. Subscribe for more. Have a great day.